Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us today at the FuturePrint Tech Fest. First of the Tech Fests that we've run, and we're really looking forward to the next couple of days. We have got 40 or so speakers covering lots of different sessions. It's going to be, as always, inspiring, innovative, and certainly different. So the theme for this one, what have we got? We've been talking a lot about these 5 critical steps for Inkjet projects, and that is the theme across the 2 days. And I'm going to ask Marcus to just give us a little bit of an understanding of what those 5 steps mean. Marcus.
Yeah, well, basically, industrial inkjet is a hugely versatile technology. We know that. It works in a variety of different marketplaces. But when you're introducing a new machine into new places, into new markets, there's a relatively narrow operating window. And having worked with many of the inkjet community over the past sort of 10, 15 years, we hear of similar sort of problems and challenges that people need to overcome. So what we thought was, if somebody is at the beginning of their inkjet journey, what kind of basic building blocks would they need to build, and go through to actually ensure that they sort of optimize their success? So we boiled it down or distilled it down into 5 key areas. And the aim of this kind of content path is to really help people by listening to some of the world's leading experts in the field of inkjet technology. So if you're an OEM thinking of or needing a new machine that you think you want to introduce to your existing kind of production line, or you're a converter with a similar kind of challenge, where do you go? Who do you speak to? What problems do you need to solve? And what processes do you need to go through in order to really sort of make sure you're creating the right technology, you're making the right selection with the right people, and so on. So that's really the thinking.
And those 5 themes that you're going to share with us, they've come through the next 2 days, really, don't they?
They do, yeah. I mean, it starts with strategy. It's sort of outlining your kind of goals, why you're even embarking on an inkjet. We asked the question, is inkjet even the right technology for you? Then we move into problem solving, because it is a journey, yeah, and you're going to need to problem solve as you go. So we look at problem solving and also applications. So what your market application. Thirdly, we look at collaboration. It's a really critical factor. One of the things with industrial inkjet is you can't really just buy a finished machine. There's a sort of large degree of customization necessary. So you really need to make sure that you build a team around that. And then sort of 4th and 5th, sort of technology selection. So once you've gone through that process, which technology do you choose and how do you integrate it? So we've got a bunch of people we know from the inkjet world who are partners of FuturePrint who are expert in the field, and I think it's a really helpful kind of concept, and I'm pretty confident it'll be a quite a compelling few sessions.
And in effect, we're giving them a path, aren't we? We're kind of helping anyone who's looking at this to follow a path, really, to give them a little bit of know-how that the industry have brought together, really. I mean, that industry, last few years, certainly the industry understand where the key challenges for anyone who's looking at inkjet projects, and this whole Tech Fest is about sharing some of that.
It's about sharing and helping people, really. So I think we've seen and learning from people, people that have made mistakes in the past, why the mistakes have been made, what to avoid, and what kind of buttons to press that actually will sort of enhance your likelihood of success. A lot of it is about learning, introducing inkjet to into your business, and you have to be open to that learning. It's not simple, but there are some simple building blocks you can go through, these 5 steps that will sort of help you on your way.
Fantastic. And we're going to talk a little bit about the actual content and some of the speakers. And I just want to bring in Karis, our colleague, who obviously have done a couple of the sessions. Tell us a bit about the content that you've been working on, Karis.
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, before kind of the individual sessions, just really want to reiterate how great the panels are, that tie into the 5 steps for inkjet success. First of all, just filming them, in the studio and actually being taught to people has been amazing. They're really going to be interesting to watch. I've learned so much from being there watching those panels, and not just the one I hosted, which was problem solving and applications, and you kind of watch them all and think, oh, I can see the common themes, that really is steps along a path, like you said. So I would urge everybody to watch all the panels because, they really do tie in with each other. So that was fantastic. Apart from that, I hosted, going back to kind of the virtual sessions that we did as well, Solomar, a great partner from FuturePrint, and they were talking about a tech checkup, for your production environment. Are you tech ready for what's coming next? Which has been really fantastic to talk to them about that. What are the kind of processes that you need to look at? How can you keep it manageable going forward, and make sure you're staying on top of that as well? And that was great to have. Jamie and Jonathan from Solomar and Pat McGrew as well, who, as everyone knows, really knows her stuff in that department. So always great to get her input on that. I also, Colourdyne, another great partner. I did the session with them where we talked about their newest inkjet engine with UV LED, but we also talked about the collaborative development that got them there, and their work with ink manufacturers and how they wouldn't be where they are, with their machine and their technology without those partners. And that ties in really well with, collaboration is one of those 5 steps for inkjet success, which is, really, really prevalent throughout the whole program. Sun Chemical as well. That was a great session talking to Simon from Sun Chemical about digital textile innovation and sustainability as well. And that's a really interesting area. Textiles are quite a complex one from an ink perspective. There's lots of different substrates. It's a difficult one from sustainability standpoint. It's very water-heavy processes a lot of the time, and there's the fast fashion issue. So really interesting to get his take on
He's
that.
got some really good insight into textile and digital print on textile, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Understanding that.
Yeah, fascinating. And it's a real area of expertise for him. So kind of broke it down really nicely really in that session. So some fantastic ones to look forward to.
Marcus, you got a couple that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. The event kicks off with a session from John Patsavalis, who's also on one of the panels. He's a senior lecturer at Cranfield. Cranfield's one of the, if not the leading postgraduate technology university. So he's a specialist for digital manufacturing. His session is well worth a listen. At the end of the day, Inkjet is a digital technology that is an enabling technology within digital manufacturing. So that's a good one to have a look at, see how that's changing and what's happening in that field. We also have Fujifilm, optimizing inkjet productivity. We've got some really sort of practical and helpful sessions, such as selecting inkjet print heads from Meteor Inkjet. Global graphics software, a very interesting one, is about integrating inkjet into the smart factory. So again, that sort of links with the digital manufacturing.
That smart factory's come
theme.
up a couple of times, hasn't it? Because I know that Durst are also looking at smart factory, and we'll be talking a bit about that sort of peak performance of businesses and drawing together, all the different elements of your print business and trying to kind of connect. So that's obviously a bit of a theme.
Definitely, yeah. And I think that's as software becomes more and more of an enabler for that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. Richard Darling's session is Groupthink and the Inkjet Head arms race. So quite an interesting take on how sometimes we don't necessarily invent the right technology to solve the right problem. So he has a look at that with a bit of an automotive theme there. Interesting title from Zara. It's called Rock and Roll, Direct to Shape. Interesting work that the Zara are doing with direct to shape, with not just cylindrical bottles but other application areas as well. And then we have Art of Collaboration, which is Domino and Fosean, again, another collaborative theme.
Yeah, that's definitely come through a lot, hasn't it? Karis was saying collaboration, that's kind of one of the key ones, and actually really useful for people to hear the stories. I typically, I've got Siegwerk, Seiko and Integration Technology talking a lot about that collaboration, working on partnership to try and deliver a unique product, because actually industrial inkjet often lends itself to a collaboration rather than a one-stop shop. So I think that theme's come through again, hasn't it?
It is, and I think it's a kind of a vital component of creating the right technology, and the technology that's fit for purpose for a while, that has longevity. And then lastly, sort of obviously a key characteristic of digital is personalisation, and we have the session When the World Revolves Around You, which is presented by Paragon, which is an exciting new JV between Tricord and SIL.
Another collaboration.
It is another collaboration actually in the JV, but they've got a really exciting technology that some of the world's leading kind of brands are starting to use with footwear and so on, but I shan't reveal any more.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's interesting. Both of us all of us have mentioned collaboration, and also you mentioned sustainability. I'll just pick up on a couple of... I've got another one that's interesting again, another collaboration, which is the Marabou and Koenig & Bauer collaboration, which is about glass printing, which is quite interesting. We haven't seen anything like this at any of our virtual events. So new technology, haptic effect on curved glass, which is interesting. Another collaboration, a very effective collaboration. And then, Karis, you mentioned sustainability. We've got Nick Copeland from Bob's talking about sustainability and some of those mega trends, understanding the mega trends that, the big brands like Nestle and P&G and Unilever, these brands are all pushing some of these mega trends for packaging. And Nick talks a lot about the materials that we print on and what's going to be used in packaging in the future, and how important it is in terms of application, ink and substrate. And that's interesting from the point of view of seeing something different. One of the other, just to finish off, we've also got a couple of other new customers who've joined us on this one. SICPA, who many of you may know, have a 90 years heritage in security printing, and they in fact have just got a department on thermal inkjet technology, and that's very interesting. We often hear sort of drop on demand, but we haven't had so much from the thermal inkjet side. So again, it's opening up new market opportunity to you, the listeners, and the people who are viewing the videos. Anything else, Karis, just that you wanted to add?
I think just, really, again, collaboration, but the problem-solving side of things was a really interesting session to host in terms of, what problems are we solving with industrial inkjet, but also what are the problems along the way. And I think, Marcus, definitely with when we were looking at the 5 steps, there's newcomers to inkjet in mind as well. So I think anyone that's, looking at the technology, you're going to gain so much from so many sessions at this event, and also some nice insights into customers as well, and projects, actual case studies, which you don't always get, people being really forthcoming with telling their story from a customer perspective. I did a session with Industrial Inkjet Limited that are talking about a key customer of theirs and the journey from kind of the initiation of the relationship through to, them wanting a wider system, how the pandemic has impacted them, the virtual installations that they've been doing, and how that's been impacted, and how they've managed that challenge from a perspective of working with a key customer. So I think, that's, you learn a lot from that, from actually getting that insight into the customer.
And I think the delegates who are watching the next 2 days will really get a sense that these are real projects, aren't they? And these collaborations that we're seeing, time and time again are really... they're exciting, innovative, interesting, and they're just doing something very different. But that collaboration has really given the end users a great advantage. You've got something very different on show, haven't you? Yeah,
and I think the key message is that inkjet as technology is really maturing and become robust, and a lot of the risk of the tech has been removed. But you still need to follow these processes. So if you are new to inkjet, there are a wealth of experts out there, of which are part of this event, that can help you solve the right problems and really bring something special to market. And it's exciting times, not least because we know there's a coming boom around the corner. Some of the barriers to change have been dismantled over the past 12 to 18 months. So really now is the time to get tech ready for that. And by sort of thinking now and putting into place some plans, you're really sort of helping your business move forward. And talking tech ready, obviously, we're doing virtual events, and it's always difficult to actually directly speak to some of the people who've been on these sessions. But of course, we have the Remo sessions after the panels. So the 4 panels that we've got, there'll be a Remo session after each of those. So we'll have a Remo session at middle of the day and then Remo session at the end of the day, both days. Do join us for those, because that gives you an opportunity to actually speak directly to some of the speakers who will all be joining us for those. They can register online for that, can't they, the Remo sessions? Yeah, absolutely. The Remo sessions are part of the website. So once you book your schedule, make sure you click on the Remo sessions, speaker and delegate networking. You get sent the details to join Remo, and it's worth joining. Yeah, and all the speakers tend to join in on those Remo sessions, so it gives you an opportunity, if you like to ask them a few questions. It's a great way of doing that live. Karis, as we finish, any final comments for the day? Looking forward to,
what's coming?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to some of the ones that I wasn't part of. That looking through the schedule, if you haven't looked at the full schedule, make sure you do. There's some really interesting content coming up, and from my perspective, with this area, even as looking at it, it kind of demystifies a lot of it, which is what I think we aim to do. The people that know the tech inside out already know it, and for people looking in, you're going to get some actionable insights into this technology. So,
and that's what our events are always about. Always about us trying to share with you guys the content, the knowledge that's out there. There's some fantastic speakers at this event. Marcus, any final comments about the event?
Yeah, I think you said it well there, Karis. I think that, decluttering some of the technical jargon, making it kind of actionable and applicable is key to this event. So, I'm sure you're going to get a lot from it. So, just get involved.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And thank you to all of you for joining us. Hope to see you at some of the Remo sessions later in the next couple of days, and hope you have a great event. Thank you.